thank you guys all for coming out. Real nice turnout tonight at Galvanize. This is a great venue for this event, so thank you to them for hosting it. Got Community Manager Chase over here. If you haven't already met him, make sure you go and have a chat with him at some point. They're doing a lot of amazing things at the space. In a minute, he's going to come up and tell you a little bit about it and also what they're offering to the participants tonight. Also, we're going to have our judges come up and introduce themselves in a sec.
Hi, I'm loud. Hi, I'm Dr. Liz Lindsay. I'm the director of New York Angels. How many of you have heard of New York Angels? Good. I want to make sure that we keep circulating in your brains. This is my second night here at James's Pitch Night. I had so much fun the first time I was here. I asked him to invite me back again, so here I am. Looking forward to hearing 5 companies this evening.
Thank you, Liz.
Hello. Wow, that is loud. I'm Dennis, and I'm the assistant director of the New York Angels. And I'm also an entrepreneur, and I've been through fundraising before, so I understand the amount of work and courage that it takes to come up here and pitch. And I'm sure they appreciate everyone for coming out, and thank you, James, for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Put this like all the way back here so it doesn't sound like the voice of God. Hey guys, see a bunch of faces I recognize across from here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sumit Shah. I'm the VC in residence over at Galvanize. Chase will give you more of a background about Galvanize itself, of its co-working space, its coding and design data science schools, as well as of course event management, as we're holding in right now. Before that, I was a venture capitalist. I helped start and run a consumer products focused VC firm called Brand Foundry, based here and in the Los Angeles. Galvanize, invested in about 25 companies. A lot of them you may know: Harry's, Lola, Wing, Koyo, Cotopaxi, Rockets of Awesome, etc. Old partner invested in companies early on, like Harry's specifically, Warby Parker, Birchbox, and Peloton. Investments. Prior to that, working in the operations side of things, consulting for private equity firms. So excited to hear more about the 5 companies that are presented today. And I also, I guess I doesn't say up there, but start a little side thing to help founders with crafting and validating their ideas, helping with framework and branding for their investor decks, and helping with their fundraising strategy. It's literally called Deck Therapy. If you have any questions about that, if you're interested about it as well, feel free to grab me afterwards.
All right, thank you. Let's give a round of applause for the judges. So I just want to take a quick poll of the room. Who here registered through Eventbrite? And who here registered through Meetup? All right, 60-40. Great, thanks. And who here is upset about the Yankees? All right. So, just a quick run through of what to expect for the event. Normally we do 4 startups, but the startup who was scheduled originally to pitch tonight, his wife had a child yesterday, so let's give a round of a hand for Steve Forte of the Trip Party. Congratulations to him and his growing family. And because of this little reschedule, we're actually going to get 5 companies pitching tonight, as I frantically reached out to many people to come to the spot. All right, so they're going to pitch for 6 minutes each. What's going to happen is at the 5-minute mark, you're going to hear a bell, and then at the 6-minute mark, you'll hear a tip. That means the time's up. This is how they're going to be graded. Pitches out of 10, the Q&A is going to be out of 10, and then the viability and the progress are both out of 5. And this is what the judges will be grading on. And a couple of items for everyone in the audience. Just please turn your phones on to silent. We are recording the event, courtesy of Real VC TV and Micropeer, startup company that's doing a startup channel. So you'll be able to see the replay of tonight's event on the realvc.com. And we're on Facebook and Instagram, Pitch Night NYC. Please join the group if you want to follow up with what companies you see here tonight are doing. You'll see their story, links to their websites, and as well as just good community content around pitching and startups. So, without further ado, we're going to get started with Graham.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm BD. I work in Graham. I also, a bit about me, I just graduated from college like 4 months ago and decided to like just start, try and like, start a company. Why not? So Graham is it's a place to learn new skills. It's focused on community-driven learning. So what the heck is community-driven learning? So let's get into that. So the big problem, like we all know this, like education is broken, like learning is broken. We all want to fix it. People come with new solutions every year, and like this is like a huge problem. And I think personally, from my own experience, what I've noticed is that there's a huge gap between academia and industry. And like I went to school for computer science, and a lot of the stuff that I learned wasn't really that I learned in class wasn't really relevant, and I don't use any of it now because everything I learned was outside of school, like going to meetups, going to hackathons, and working on projects on my own, right? And I had a really good community built up around me of like people working on stuff in college, which was great. But now that I'm out of college, I'm kind of losing that community of people to like help me and support me to like work on stuff, learn stuff, and especially my friends who are like 4 or 5 years, 10 years into the industry, they're losing their community to like help them learn new skills. So and yeah, so that's a big problem. And say if I'm like somebody who does investment banking as my full-time job, and I want to learn how to code. Some of my current like alternatives to like getting out there and like learning a new skill, and maybe like to learn a new skill is like go to a boot camp or learn on my own, right? And boot camps are like galvanized. There's something called Flatiron School. There's some like there are a bunch of different stuff. But the problem with boot camps is that we have to spend. People usually have to like spend like 14 weeks. Like they have to take time off for 14 weeks and pay like shout from like 7 to 14K to like learn a new skill, which is great if you're trying to switch careers. But if you're just trying to learn something and explore something, it's really hard. The second alternative to like learn something new is by taking an online course. But the problem with online courses is it takes a lot of motivation, and current rate of dropout for online courses is about 80%. This is like courses like Coursera, Udacity, and all this stuff. So we really need to come up with like so if you're somebody who's finished school and want to learn something new, we need to come up with a way where you can learn new skills that's not really takes so much time and money, but also is effective. So that's my solution. So I want to create a solution where I've created a solution where it's making learning new skills more accessible, where you don't have to shell out money to like go and like takes a week's of time like to go and learn something. You can just you should be able to learn in your own time. It should be relevant. You need to be able to apply the skills you learn directly, and it should also be reasonably cost effective. I don't think anything can beat like online courses because they're free, but like reasonably cost effective. So what is Gram again? So Gram is basically, think of it as tutoring for adults. So if you want to learn, so like back to my investment banking example, so if you're an investment banker and if you want to learn a new skill, say you want to learn how to code, you can go make a request on Gram, and then we put you in touch with programmers who can teach you, who have jobs that can teach you or mentor you when they have time. I don't know why it doesn't exist, but So think of it as thumbtack for tutoring or to learn new skills. So, and how do I make money? It's pretty simple. It's like a standard two-sided marketplace. People basically, you pay on the website, and I take a 15% cut per transaction. So if you want to learn a new skill, you pay an hourly rate, and then I take a transaction. Current progress. About 3 months ago, I launched on Product Hunt. The launch went really well. I was really surprised by it. The site didn't have anything. It was just a listing site. It had profiles of my friends who had jobs, and I got like about 300 signups. I think like 40 people signed up to be a teacher. And so after the launch, like obviously like traffic went down. And after like iterating for 2 or 3 months, I came up with a really interesting solution, like go back again. So like my distribution channels are basically mailing lists of different board spaces, my own school, Reddit, meetups, and I'm starting with like city by city because it's a marketplace and it's a local marketplace. But the competition. Yeah, and I think I just want to end with this. I just think that the current education system has been really built for an industrial era where a lot of people have to learn are led to learn the same skills. But times are changing, and with the growth of networks, I think more and more people. I think we're getting more creative. Teams are getting smaller and distributed. So people with specific skills are needed. So, and I think evolving our education system to suit that is super important.
All right, great job. So we're going to turn it over to the judges now for Q&A. Who wants the mic first?
Great job. So let's talk a little bit about the next couple of years and how you're going to see these apps. Right now, you just got 2% transaction, obviously, approximately. Wow, that was when the voice of God didn't work out. All right, for those in the back, but in all seriousness, like let's talk about the next couple of years.
Yeah.
You touched a little bit about where you're at right now. Walk through like what's kind of on the future for that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think all this time I was really focused on like validating the need for this. From now on, it's more. I think the way this works is it's governed by like local. It's basically a local network. So people in the city meet each other, people in the city. So my focus for now is going to be focusing on New York City, getting engineers here, getting other people more on other skills, and then going to other cities eventually.
So you didn't get a chance to go through your competition slides. You want to go back?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to talk about your competition a little, where you fit in?
The competition is like I basically divided all the ways that if I had a job and if I wanted to learn something, this is where I would go. This is the list I would find. You can see like a lot of online places where I could online sources, and then you can see the in-person, the large cohorts of people, and then there's one-on-one. Where there are tutors and then there's ground. It's really a combination of one-on-one, in-person, and focus on like skills. I hope that makes sense.
Well, sort of. Okay, so one other question for now, and I'll hand it to Dennis. How do you get the creators that are going to be your teachers, and are they vetted in any way? I mean, do you know they're good teachers?
That's a really good question, and that was something. So that's the thing about marketplaces. Like, there's always a problem with like getting either side is chicken or problem, or get the supply or the demand, and that's something I struggle with. Like the first launch, it was really just like it went on the front page, people were really interested in it, but like right after that, I struggled to get creators in New York City, and I was like, cold email. I tried everything I could possibly try, but then right when I was about to give up, like about 2 weeks ago, I found out that, and I just tried another approach where I went after the demand. I went after like people who wanted to learn stuff. And then I made them list on the website first, and then I showed that to a bunch of people who I knew personally, saying, hey, here are some people who want to learn from you. They're ready to pay this much, would you learn? So like, I'm going demand first, and then using that as a way to like attract creators and say, hey, there's this person who wants to learn stuff. You can go check it out.
So you mentioned you had 400 people signed up to be a creator or a teacher.
Yeah.
So what industry are you focusing on?
Yeah.
What industries are these 400 people from?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So initially, I didn't have focus. I just like put it out there and see what would happen. A lot of people who had like graphic design background, photography background, a lot of coders who did like web dev, app dev stuff signed up. But right after the launch, right, even though they signed up, like they never came back to the website. And I found really, and they're also not focused on New York City, right? Like they weren't based in New York City. So I really didn't know like what to do next. And also from the demand side, like nobody really wanted to learn these skills like specifically because they could have found like this generic stuff online, right? So again, like after 2 months of iterating, I found out that like people want to learn more specific skills, right? So there's something about in-app development, like something to do with like maps. That like people are interested in that, and they'll be willing to pay like anything to learn that stuff because they want it in their jobs or whatever they're trying to do. I don't know what I'm trying to oh yeah. So what I found out is anything that requires like high that has like a high learning curve, like machine learning, for example, that you can't really learn on your own. But if you had someone with you, just like show you the way, you can just get it. Those kind of skills are like high.
And what's the price point for like how much are these creators charging? And then also one last question is if you could say what Gram is in one sentence, then what would that be?
Yeah. Awesome. So how much they're charging? So the cool thing about getting demand first and getting requests from people is that it's up to the people who are requesting the lesson to set the price. So the last person who set up the price, they wanted to learn natural language processing, and they were ready to pay up to $150 for that. And the second thing is, what is Gram in one sentence? Gram is a place where if you want to learn something highly technical or specific, you make a request and someone will reach out to you.
All right, all set.
Thank you.
Great job. So I don't know about all of you, but I'm very, very encouraged when I see such young entrepreneurs, founders, getting out there and trying to tackle the marketplace, especially in education, because when I graduated a gazillion years ago, I felt the exact same way, but I never thought to do anything about it. So, cheers to you. All right, up next, we got Sports List.
Hi everyone, my name is Brian Kessler. I'm the founder of a platform called Sports List. During my 9 to 5, I'm a customer success manager. Been worked previously for Apple for about 4.5 years as an account manager. So everyone in the city typically does play sports. The problem or the idea was brought up with a group of buddies of mine that we all play in like Zog Sports, New York Urban League. And when it was time for us to find a new league to play in, we had to go online and open up a bunch of tabs and look for multiple different leagues. We had to go through schedules, we had to go through pricing, and we had to go through location. So I thought about where was a centralized place to find all the sporting leagues in your local area. So some of the problems for sports industries as far as our sports providers is that they have problems retaining customers, also customer retention, and the lack of 21st century technology. Some of the sports providers that are our customers are adult leagues, sports camps, some of the kids clubs, and personal trainers. So I created a MVP for a one-stop solution for sports leagues. So why us for some of the sports providers? Increased visibility, increased customer satisfaction, and also retention. So some of the feedback, I did a survey with about 70 individuals, parents, adults. 25% say is that it's money is a pain point for finding certain leagues. Also, 15% also mentions that they don't know where to actually start. So a lot of feedback around where and how they play sports, and reviews and locations very important. As far as the market size, it's about a $15 billion industry in youth sports. And we're not talking about adult sporting leagues either. So it's a really huge marketplace, and it's only going upward, even in times where people are looking to save money. Certain parents in suburbs or certain inner cities are spending more money. This is some more information on the market validation in youth sports. And then for the social impact that we're looking to do is we're looking to help minorities and people in lower poverty cities get involved with more youth sports. Families are spending about 10% of their income on youth sports from a survey in Utah State. And then the average cost to play organized sports throughout the year ranges from anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000. So our business model is we're looking to bring on sport providers for them to market their sports activities to our consumers at $20 per month. With this, we provide analytics, we market your activities direct to your consumer, increase customer retention, no commission for any of the bookings on the platform. So whatever is made on the platform, they keep themselves. And then for the MVP design, so this is the homepage. Very simple, get active with local sports leagues. Here you can see some of the colors, football, basketball. Also, this is the activity page. This is all through InDesign as well. So you can actually search and filter by certain categories that you're looking for as well. We also have reviews on there. You can also see the map of where the actual sport league is actually at, and then this is just a checkout. So we'll skip past this, Chase. And then next, I'll show you. Next, here, this is the merchant's dashboard, so they can actually get a visual of how their dashboard looks, so they can actually create activities and also schedule and in 3 simple steps actually, schedule a certain activity. Here, this is also the dashboard where merchants can see their current activities. They can also see some of the analytics here as far as July's earnings and some of the statistics as far as how many views they have. Some more analytics for the merchants to see. Our launch strategy currently now is really direct sales, or starting with the sports providers, and then step 2, going with the consumers that will be on the platform to do any bookings. Right now, we have about 10 sports providers that have signed up. Some yes, some no, but how we came with the $20 model is just some of the interviews on how much they're spending on marketing per month, and if they felt like $20 was an actual good number. And then for step 2, just digital marketing and some influence marketing to get some of the consumers on board. And this is just a goal to get our first 100 sports providers and our first 100 consumers. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
All right, great job. Now we're going to turn it over to the judges.
Great job. Let's talk a little about pricing. So you mentioned $20 per month. It looks like that's set for the vendors, so can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I can see also even $20 per month per league or per option from there. Are there any tiers that you're talking about as well? And then I noticed in the MVP you're showing that there's another revenue where people just buy from the leagues themselves. Can you walk through a little bit more on that and elaborate?
Yeah, so we're B2B2C. This is
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's actually softer. So
Yeah, sorry.
So we're B2B2C. So for connecting with the business model is strictly only for the sports providers. So it is a monthly tier. Everything that we do provide as far as marketing, customer retention, email marketing, that's all within the $20. Initially, when we do launch the MVP, I don't know if I want to have a free tier or then also, our $20 model and maybe take on some of the features. And then for the consumers, they can actually just book certain activities on our platform. Another feature that I didn't share was also if you don't have anyone to play with, you can also find people on the platform to play with, which we do have designs for. But that everything for the consumer is free. For the $20 model is just for the sports provider. And that's up for negotiation if I met with a VC or anyone that said we should bump the price.
Test. Did I don't know if I missed it. Did you talk about the competition?
Here I did not. I do have a slide on there that I just thought it might be, but my three competitors, or my biggest one is called Sports Engine. They are purchased by NBC. What they do is they just have listings of sports providers, but you can't actually book on there. So they basically just search the web of all sports providers in your area, Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and they just have listings per provider, but the actual merchants, they don't post anything on there. So it's just like really useful for like a parent that might just want to actually know about certain sports activities in their area, but you can't actually book. It just redirects you to that person's website. And some of the sports providers don't have updated websites as well. So what I'm looking to do as well is just really kind of have Sportslist as not only a one-stop shop for consumers, but for the merchants, they can actually just use Sportslist to kind of run their entire business as well, hopefully. If the more research we do to kind of pivot and see if this is a need for them as well.
And can you talk about, is it just you working on this? Do you have a team? Can you talk about your team?
So right now it's just me. I do have a designer that I just use freelance from Upwork. I'm looking for a CTO currently now, in connection, talking with Chase previously before this, but I'm still looking for a CTO. So that's the dilemma I have right now, either to wait a little bit longer while I'm looking for a CTO, or I have a project manager in a remote team in India to kind of start working on the MVP.
Thank you. So, tell me a little bit about your plans for fundraising. I assume you can raise funds, right?
Yeah.
How are you on those plans?
Right now, I'm just looking to get the merchants on. My goal is to have about 30 merchants from New York, 30 from Connecticut, and 30 from New Jersey, to kind of get them on the platform first before I start really looking into funding. And then taking baby steps, still looking for that CTO, because I know if I was up, with VCs, they're going to ask about who's my co-founder, and I'm just looking for the CTO currently now. But making a lot of progress getting the merchants to sign up and be on board, and just they're calling me for the 10 that I currently have. They're calling me every other week to say when are we live to go. So they're very anxious as well, because a lot of their marketing is still email. They're still mailing out pamphlets. So a lot of old school approach to their marketing.
Just one quick piece of feedback in terms of just the way you answered that last question. That was the perfect way to respond, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of oh, I gotta go fundraise, I gotta go do all this stuff, but you're being very careful about buttoning up from it. Obviously there's still a lot of work to do across this, but it's just refreshing to hear that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, keep it up.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Really great job, Brian. Anything that encourages kids and adults alike to get out there and be active is a good one in my book. So up next, we have Gesture.
So, my name is Ben, this is Daniel. I'll give Chase some time to get the presentation up. But before we get started, I wanted just to recognize a few people real quick. That's our amazing team back there that's standing there. We have Christian, Hannah, Preston, Phil, Neo, who's super new. But these guys are essentially all part of what makes this, or what has made this a reality for us. And we're going to tell you all about Gesture here in 1 second. But before I actually go into that, I wanted to ask you guys a question. Think about the last time that somebody sent you a text message and said that they were having a bad day. Or the last time that somebody called you or messaged you or emailed you and said, hey, I just got that promotion that I was aiming for. Or maybe a friend messaged you and said, or a family member, I just had a baby. Or so-and-so just had their baby. Or I'm sure this is probably familiar to everyone. The last time you're on Facebook and you see, hey, it's Daniel's birthday. Wish him happy birthday. Well, that was one of the whole reasons why Gesture was created. But thinking back to those specific situations, think about when you actually did receive that call or that text, and especially when someone told you that they were not having a great day, how helpless you felt, either just by saying, gosh, especially if this person was very important to you, a significant other, and what you would want it to do at that point by just, other than sending them a text or an email or something intangible. And again, this is what Gesture helps take care of for you. And before we go into the logistics about all the kind of business and stuff, I wanted just to tell you a little bit more about how cool Gesture is as an experience. So what we've done is we've actually created a super cool new experience, a mobile app that will actually allow you to, the moment's notice, rather than essentially going in and looking at a very clunky website where you can order specific gifts or those types of things, we've actually eliminated that whole process, and we've allowed you as an individual the ability to go in and pick something, but not only pick it, the kicker is that we'll actually deliver it within 30 minutes, and we'll do it all for under 20 bucks. That's it. That includes the delivery, that includes the price of the product, that includes everything. So before we actually get into a live demo of the actual app itself, let's take you through some of the logistics and maybe some of those pain points that everyone always asks. So yeah, I mean, there's really no easy way to let someone know that you're thinking about them. If you want to, it's going to cost you a little extra, expedited delivery. These are essentially all pain points. But one thing to really focus on is tangibility. Sending an email or a text message, how much validity does that have versus actually being able to do something a little bit different? And again, always costs you extra. There's always a catch. Same-day delivery, order before 2. We've all heard that. We've all seen that. But here's Gesture. This is what we do. 30 minutes, 3-step process. It's actually a 4-step process now, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Saves you time. We essentially have done all the hard work for you by essentially pre-selecting the best gift that we think matches that specific occasion or gesture specifically. And then again, 20 bucks flat. How cool is that, right? Not very cool for our margins right now, but hey, it's all about you guys. And again, it's tangible. It's not an e-card. It's not something they're going to get via an email. And there's never an extra cost. Nothing extra. And at the end of the day, we like to say that it is happiness delivered. Super cool. We are essentially the fastest and most efficient way to let somebody know that you are thinking about them. This guy and myself are living proof of that today. We were actually out doing deliveries, and I will tell you that it was absolutely not easy to get to a specific person within 30 minutes, but we did it. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but it is an amazing, amazing opportunity. So again, how it works is you essentially open the app, you select a specific type of occasion, we'll make the recommendation, you tell us where it's going, you can even attach somewhat of a personal message, I'll tell you about that. It was a little kicker that we added in at the last minute. And sit back, relax, and within 30 minutes we'll dispatch a courier, they go out and pick it up, and they'll deliver it for you. Super cool, right? Cool. Let's talk about, real quick, before we get into the live demo, market validation. So everyone knows these guys right here, 1-800 Flowers. Is that 5 minutes? Holy cow. All right, let me actually get into a live demo of the app. Can you kill that real quick? It does. All right, so let me see if I can make this happen real quick. Hudson Square, right, Chase? Oh, projectors. Oh, Union Square. All right. Seamless process. Go with Facebook. Log in. And now we are in. Let's say that I'm congratulating Daniel. Congrats. We'll go with champagne. Really nothing to choose other than it's champagne. We agree. Here's where I can put in a personal message that will actually be delivered to Daniel, and the cool thing is, I can sign it. At that point, skip, put in the delivery credentials, check out, and before we know it, you guys have the delivery on its way. 4 steps. Super simple. Thank you. Yes. Oh, questions?
So as I mentioned in my introduction, there's always going to be a lot of familiar faces. Hey, buddy.
How are you?
For those of you who don't know, Ben's also the main thing is he's one of the main staff members and runners over at Galvanize, so it's just kind of funny how I run into this guy all the time. No, it's pretty awesome. It's also something that I know, he's been telling me a little bit about this, and now just to actually see it is pretty cool. So you mentioned a lot about the experience, you mentioned a lot about the process, let me touch a lot about the demos. Where are you now in terms of traction? I know it's obviously super early, and good to have a full team to go behind it. Where are you now? Like, what's the most important thing you're working on right now for Gesture within really these next, like really going into the end of the year right now?
Yeah, so we just launched 4 days ago. So essentially we are now out live to the public, as Daniel mentioned. So our obviously biggest focus is going out and acquiring users. Of course, we have decided to essentially make fire with 2 sticks and oxygen versus matches and lighter fluid. So we are essentially looking at potentially partnering with all the major tech companies here in New York City. We've basically created kind of an internal outside approach where we essentially have resources in all the different tech companies, your Google, your Yelps. We've essentially made deliveries there by utilizing their contacts, hashtag, a lot of that stuff. And then we've also created very specific features for these tech companies so we can grow our user base using the type of demographic that we actually want. So what that technically means is you have 1,500 people sitting at Yelp to technically meet our demographic. We have another 1,500 people or 2,000 people sitting at Google. We essentially use a very specific approach to get into all of those tech companies where we can start there knowing that we can grow our user base very quickly for no money, or little to no money.
Okay, so I was writing feedback. I might have missed this, but maybe not. What's your business model?
Business model. So super simple. Our whole thing is to essentially market to those that are not that wouldn't essentially take advantage of your 1-800 Flowers. Our customer model is essentially the same users that would use Uber Eats, Postmates. But overall, we know that there's a large market share out there specifically for people that can't spend $100 on sending someone a gift. So our business model overall is getting something to someone very quickly within 30 minutes and doing it for a very affordable price.
So everything on there is a flat $20.
Flat $20.
And does that include delivery?
That includes delivery.
How on earth do you make money?
You do want to know.
Yeah, totally I do.
So yeah, of course our margins are very slim, but nonetheless we do make it happen. We've created some very specific, I guess, a lot of it is in the technology, a lot of it is with the types of products that we've chosen to essentially go out and choose to vendors to do business with. One of the things is we give back to the small businesses, so your bodegas, your Trader Joe's, your Whole Foods, where some of those flowers are essentially decently priced. Presentation looks good, but overall, one of the biggest things, and kind of going back to your original question, is our business model, is we sell gestures, not products specifically. So if somebody is thinking about someone at that very moment, they're not really concerned about, is this a $50 bottle of champagne? It's the fact that I just want to get something to someone very quickly and let them know I'm thinking about them right now.
Got it. So it's sort of like, yeah, it's a $5 bottle of champagne, but hey, it's a gesture that counts.
That's exactly right. And one of the things, just to kind of go back real quick, Chase was actually one of our first paying customers, believe it or not. He actually sent somebody to he sent some flowers to a friend of his. I actually delivered that, and to actually see the look on this person's face after she had mentioned that she was not having a good day, and immediately I showed up with flowers, and her words were, "This is crazy." Like, I literally texted this guy 26 minutes ago and told him that I was not having a good day, and you show up with this big, bright bouquet of yellow flowers. It wasn't like, what kind of flowers are these? What is this? It was more of just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And of course, immediately he started getting all these text messages and points on his board, of course. But yeah, it was actually one of our first orders. Super cool. Yeah, our Instagram has live people that actually got those gifts, and nothing more than a $6 bouquet of roses.
Congratulations on launching.
Thank you.
And the 30 minutes or less, that feels very seductive, but like, how realistic is that? And how do you handle that logistically? Like, who makes the deliveries?
So we built the entire experience we essentially rebuilt an entire Uber process. So we built the user app and we built the courier app. So there's two applications. So we contract the couriers the same way Postmates does and Uber Eats. So we have couriers that are out in the field, and that as soon as the order comes in, they get the order on their app. We tell them exactly where to go to pick up and exactly where to go to deliver. And essentially, we have actually been the ones out there doing the deliveries to kind of gain that experience. And I will tell you that I have a whole different perspective for couriers and messengers than I did just even 2 or 3 days ago or even last week. It has been the most amazing experience and eye-opening opportunity that I've ever taken advantage of. But I'll be honest with you, I mean, one of the biggest, I guess, things that I struggled with is trusting our own technology that we built, that it was going to take me to the exact places. And I literally opened it and I was like, all right, instinctively I said, I know where to go, but the app and our algorithms and our technology knew better. So at that moment, we actually utilized the process the way we would want the couriers to use the process, and it worked. Today we delivered, he delivered and I delivered to a couple of very interesting investors, 26 minutes. I made it from 31st and 7th Avenue to 15th and 5th in 27 minutes.
Okay, well, be careful.
Have you ever seen Dire with a Vengeance?
I have not, but I have seen the old school 1980 movie Quicksilver, and it felt like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So one of the joke I was going to put here, one of the jokes is, and I feel bad for ruining part of the movie, but like they have to make 30 blocks in 20 minutes in terms of like to just use a bomb. But actually, no, wait, was it 30 blocks in 20 minutes? No, it was much shorter than that. Anybody remember this? No? I think it was maybe like 100 blocks. But watch the film in terms of just getting just one last thing in terms of feedback.
Sure.
You mentioned so much about the storytelling amount of why this matters to you at the very beginning. Like, button up your pitch a little bit more, just because there's so much you do that you've already had in the deck itself, so you can go right into the demo. Because I think that, again, your ethos that I talk about, it's the thought that counts, it's the gesture that counts to it. It's not just, of course, going to help you in terms of walking through the deck, but also when you're looking for the right partners of like, here's how it works, here's why it matters across it, here's also the partners that we're working with and then targeting on that perspective as well. Just a thought. Yeah. Good.
How did you come up with the name? Why did you choose Gesture?
So there's a long story behind that, but again, it just kind of boiled back down to at the moment that you're actually thinking about somebody, you want to do something nice for them, and it was nothing else like tangible or anything. It was just the gesture that counts, and it's one of the most commonly used expressions. Is would you rather have a big bouquet of flowers, or would you rather have someone just cook you dinner, and somebody would say, well, I don't know, it doesn't matter either one, it's just the gesture that matters. It's the gesture that counts the most. So at that moment, it was going to be called New Flower or some crazy stuff like that, and we decided not to do that. Yeah, that was one of the bigger reasons, is because we do see a big opportunity with enterprise. With lots of companies that are in, today we delivered something for Compass for those days, and these guys were kind of like, we can integrate that tech, because it's not just a flower app, it's not just a champagne or a drizzly or a mini bar, it's something that has potential to scale.
Great job. So, to everyone in the audience, pull out your phone right now.
Oh yeah.
And gift me the most obscure thing you can think of, and let's challenge this 30 minutes. All right. Up next, we have Down to Dash.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sama Joshani, and I'm the co-founder of Down to Dash. So Down to Dash is an app to make quality activity buddies. My co-founder and I, when we were in college, we wanted to form a group to play basketball, and we couldn't find enough people. And when I moved to New York alone, initially I found it difficult to meet people and make friends. So I thought, why is there no easy way to meet people based on your age to do what you like? And why it was really difficult for me to find quality activity buddies. So we identified that 72% of Americans suffer from loneliness, and 88% of people who move into new cities find it difficult to make friends. And even people with many friends find it difficult to meet people to share specific activities. So we created a solution for them, an app to meet people based on what you are down to do. For example, you can post you want to play soccer on Thursday at 5 p.m. or some workout class that you want to try, or explore the city, or go to a new museum. And users in your location and age can join them, and then you can group chat with users, and also discover events around you, and you can post events too. And we filter out dating related terms to keep things casual and focus on activities. So users have been obsessed with our plans feature so far, which is, let's say, tennis on Thursday at 5 p.m. because it allows them to be spontaneous and discover what other people are doing before it actually happens. Also, it's according to your schedule and your preferences, so we position it as doing what you love, and the whole meeting people aspect is like a byproduct, so our focus is entirely on doing what you love according to your time, according to your preferences. And also, it's by individuals and groups. It's not only a one-on-one thing, or you can also connect with like 5 people at one time. Our current market opportunity is at 323 million people in the US, and we started out now with the 35 million people in the millennials in the US, with a focus on 4.7 millennials in New York. So within around 7-8 months and no marketing spend, we have 4,627 users on the app with 3,135 monthly active users, and we're seeing really incredible retention rates. So within the last 1.5 months, we had around 10,000 plans created on the app, and our average daily user engagement is 90 minutes. Also, we created an internship program, like a campus ambassador program, which the interns like, and they voted for it to be in the list of top 100 internship programs by CNBC Make It had a survey. Also, we partnered with 18 meetup groups. So we work as a complement with meetup groups, where we attract more people to their events, and people can buddy up to attend their events using Down to Dash. And we recently got selected for the shooting of Entrepreneur Elevator Pitch, Season 3, a TV show, which will be aired in November, and that should also increase our user base once it does. Yeah, we've also been featured in like Forbes, Huffington Post, a few other popular publications. And this Forbes article talks about how technology has been criticized and social media has been criticized to create isolation, depression, and loneliness. And that's what we want to change. That's what we want to change the meaning of social media by making social media social again. Coming to the competitive landscape, our most similar existing platform is Meetup, but Meetup operates only in groups and is for all ages. Bumble, BFF, and Veena have the swipes, but they're for female friendships only, and Bumble is also primarily a dating app. So because of our plans feature age filter, individuals and groups, and anonymous swiping, and millennial-friendly brand name and positioning, we have no identical competition, giving us first mover advantage. Coming to the business model, the first side of our business model is user-generated. So it's a free app and it will always be a free app, but we will introduce premium features for just $3 a month with features like passport. So for example, you can match with people in other locations, for like people who move into new cities or people who are traveling. So these are some features we'll add in the future. The second side is for advertisers. So we have $7,500 and $200 packages for companies, advertisers, and we offer services like a post in the event section of the app, also a table at our events, a social media posts, etc. And we have 8 people who signed up for our services right now. But this is just because we're new, and in the future this entire process will be automated. So we'll add bookings to the app, like 2 people can book a tennis court through the app and we make commission. And also we gather patterns in our data to provide guidance and predictive analysis to companies. Our team, we've had some experience with building companies in the past, working with a marketing agency. My co-founder worked with a VC firm, and our tech team has also had experience working with big brands in India. That's about it. Thank you.
Hey, Sama. Long time no see. So it's really impressive to see all the traction that's existing from there. Walk me through a little bit more in terms of the growth you mentioned about the Plus systems and of course with the advertisers, but that Plus seems to be very much in terms of travelers in terms of other locations. If you could walk me over in terms of more of that long-term strategy on that level, and also have you started to be getting any other sort of partners that have been approaching you, or figuring out what partners you want to be working with as well, especially in the next 12 months for Dash?
Like partners mean advertisers?
Whether it's not even just advertisers, but even in terms of like meetup partners or other types of spaces, like even maybe if everyone's down to just like hypothetical, like go to try out this new restaurant across it all. If there have been any, have you been getting any other of those partners that want to work with you as well?
So thanks for the question. For the first part, DTD Plus is something that we have, like you said, we haven't introduced right now. So it would have passport, it would have unlimited plans. So right now in the app, we have only 3 plans at a time. So you can only like say I'm down to do 3 things. So to do like post unlimited things, and we also have like a news feed, so to like go up in the news feed, and so we have all these paid features that we'll add later on. And like I said, we also have bookings, so like 2 people can book a tennis court through the app. So that's also a feature we haven't added. And we're actually also working on a lot of other features also, like invite friends, so that users can become a marketers and invite like non-users. So we're working on also closed networks. So we're working on a few other features that we'll add in the future. And when it comes to partners, right now we're focused more on events. So right now it's pre-funding, but we are talking to like a VC, and hopefully we'll close around like in the next 1-2 months or so. So after that, everything changes. So our focus right now has just been like hustling really hard to get users and doing events with co-working spaces and everything. But post-funding, it will be doing events like a tennis event. So we'll even pay for the like host a tennis event and get people to come there, or like a yoga event, or like you said, like partner with a restaurant. So we haven't really explored much of that yet because of the lack of funds, but we definitely will.
Is there any way to get back to your market slide, or your the slide that has the percentage of lonely people and things like that to the problem, I guess. Okay, I'm trying to figure out sort of who your market is. I mean, you say millennials, but of course we know now that millennials really vary from age like 22 to 35. And so, how did you make friends when you first moved here?
So for me, at different places like events, and I've also been very involved with the whole startup ecosystem. So like I did 2 accelerator programs, and so through that and through like organizations that I'm part of, and also like randomly events like this. But it is hard when you move to new cities. So that's actually our focus right now. People who move into new cities, millennials who move into new cities, like recent grads who move into new cities is our target audience. But besides that, we're also, millennials as a whole is our target audience, but we're focusing on people who move into new cities.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Too, if they're really young, they have universities to get to know each other. But if you say just graduated and moved away to a new city for a new job, that makes a lot more sense. Why not dating?
So the thing is, for us, we feel like it's so much on branding. Like if you're a dating app, then you're in the dating space. In the dating space, there are so many dating apps. So at least for right now, we just want to be focused as like Tinder, tried Tinder Social, but it didn't really work out for them because it's a dating app, so people perceive it as a dating app. So as a brand, we want to be like quality activity focused, at least for now. And only because I feel like sometimes if you're trying to do too many things, your positioning and your branding gets kind of messed up. So for now, we want to be only a quality activity buddy app, but then we were always like talking to users and trying to experiment and see what people want and change according to that. So in the future, we would be open to it, but for now.
As someone who has been on dating apps and also suffers from loneliness still, I just want to ask, and I'm joking and serious, but like with the dating apps, a lot of times, and I'm just going to compare this to a dating app or even social media, when you message with people, it never actually goes to meeting up a lot of times. So you're just messaging back and forth, there's a whole lot of flirting going on, and then the event never actually occurs. So how do you encourage people to actually go to an event, and then what portion of your users do actually show up to an event? And I have one more question.
So, it would be 2 different answers only because right now it's different from what it would be in the future post-funding. It would be much better our strategy, but right now it's basically we also host events, and right now it's kind of like up to the users to make the plans. But in the future we'll add use AI to give people suggestions on what to do. And ClassPass has you open the app and say you want to play tennis, so it'll show you all of this is happening. These are the tennis classes around you. If you want to say the US Open. So it will be, the focus is on the activity, and then you say, it makes the person feel like, I want to do this. And then they're also meeting people while doing that. So, but in order to encourage people to actually go for plans, we'll make it like the focus on the activity and give them suggestions on what to do and everything. Also, like I said, we host our own events, so we'll give incentives you get free pizza at the event, or say it's a tennis class, so we'll partner with a tennis studio and say that you get a discount on the court. Or it's a Zumba class, so we'll offer free classes. So that way we'll get more people to actually come for it, and then they'll have a good time and meet other people, and they will be like, okay, this is actually fun. I'm getting a discounted workout. I'm also getting to meet people I should do more. So we'll try different ways. But for right now, I think it's more user generated, and I would say about 50% of the, based on me talking to people, because right now our feedback is all based on market research, actually talking to people. So around 50% of the plans that actually happen on the app.
And thank you. And then the other question is, so this is an events, there's an events part to this, so why wouldn't you just charge partner with the Ticketmaster or Eventbrite or do something similar like that and then charge a fee for any tickets bought by users for an event? Why don't you just list their events?
Yeah, we do have Eventbrite. We pull all the events from Eventbrite and put it on the app. But that's just a part of it. It's not our focus. Our focus is more because then there is already Meetup who does that. Meetup is the groups thing, and there's Eventbrite. So our focus is mainly about the specific thing that the user wants to do. So it's more like user generated, like this person is saying that they want to play tennis on Thursday at 5 p.m. It's more about like what someone specific wants to do, and we can be like more casual and less like even when I spoke to my user like 2 weeks ago, she told me, because I'm always like talking to users and trying to understand what they like and don't like. So she told me that that's one of the things that she likes the most about the app is because it's casual and she doesn't feel any pressure. Because sometimes like, on all these apps you feel like a lot of pressure. So that's what we're trying to do.
Great job. And congrats on the elevator pitch. It's really going to be awesome. I'll catch that episode for sure. And I got some great new ideas on how to promote Pitch Night NYC. All right, last but not least, we have Blue Wave. He's somewhere. Blue Wave on the louder mic.
That's a little bit better. Raise your hand if you've taken antibiotics before. Antibiotics? You've taken antibiotics before? Raise your hand. Unfortunately, we're heading to a time where that may not be possible. Just last year, a woman in Arizona died from a bacterial infection that was resistant to every type of antibiotics in the United States. And just recently, the CDC announced a new strain of nightmare bacteria that is resistant to the most prominent types of antibiotics we save only as a last resort. Here at Blue Wave, we want to prevent infections before it starts. So we created the Blue Wave Rapid Disinfection Device. And here's how it works. Let's say you're a child with cystic fibrosis in a children's hospital. You can't be around your toys because they're fibrous and they're covered with germs. That can trigger attacks. So we put the teddy bear in a Blue Wave. The first thing we do, we shrink down, we suck out all the air out of it, reduce the volume, make it faster to treat. Then we backfill a high concentration with ozone, which kills germs 3,200 times faster than bleach. We repeat this process several times. We actually stretch and compress the individual pores all throughout the item, ensuring a thorough disinfection. We also remove all the ozone through a proprietary filter at the end, making it completely safe to use anywhere. It's a completely closed-loop system, and we are the only technology that stretches and compresses the pores, whether it's a hard material or a soft porous material like a pillow. That was the old design. Through our product study feedback, the clinicians wanted the treatment chamber actually on the outside. So that way we can accommodate a variety of different sizes items. So we offer 4 different sizes for our recurring revenue stream that can work on anything from child's and baby toys all the way to a full leg prosthetic. It uses ozone, which kills 99.9% of all bacteria, viruses, and fungi. This also destroys odors. We also eliminate all the excess ozone. We are under OSHA, EPA, and FDA limitations on ozone. It takes as little as 5 minutes. Does not use any water, detergents, or added chemicals, so it's a completely dry process. Also doesn't leave any chemical residues. Just like liquid disinfectants, you don't want your child to chew on dry Clorox. We're also working with one of the largest data providers in the country to have a IoT HIPAA compliant device over the air. Can't tell you which one because we're under NDA. The wireless data ability will also remind customers and hospital systems that it's time to buy your renewables. If they have a subscription model, it'll just send it to them automatically. And best of all, it has minimum workflow disruption. That is what the doctor's office and the hospital really care about, that they can see just as many patients and there's not added cost to their workflow. Right now in the hospitals, there's chemical disinfectants. They're prone to human error. You're relying on the lowest paid employee in the hospital. They have to cover every single surface or else it's not effective. My co-founder Miles actually was a lab tech in the hospital where he got a recurring MRSA infection, and then he ended up going to law school instead of med school. It worked out for us because he does all right. On the other end of the spectrum, you have high-end sterilizers, autoclaves, things like that. Slow and effective, but it uses very high temperatures, so there's lots of materials you cannot use, and they're very expensive. We are bridging the gap in the middle to handle items in the environmental infection market in the healthcare system that contribute to the $20 billion that costs the healthcare system every year, and almost up to $30,000 per case. In the healthcare system, there are a multitude of items in the environmental infection control arena that are just not being treated effectively. Curtains, pillows, scrubs, stethoscopes. All these things should be treated effectively, but they're really not. You would think the linens and pillows in your hospital bed and your doctor's office are being washed. They're not. Don't mean to freak you guys out. Just in curtains, there's a 95% contamination rate in the hospitals. So think about every time you're in the ER, a doctor comes in, touches you, closes the curtain, goes see someone else. Now think about the next time he comes in, touches the curtains, and touches you. You don't know who else he's touched. So again, don't need to freak you out. So we tested it against MRSA, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which is harder to kill E. coli, and Salmonella. These are the three bacteria required by the EPA to be a broad-spectrum disinfection device in healthcare settings. They require the test on hard surface carriers, so basically anything on the surface. We got a full 6-log kill, 99.9999. That's 6 log? That's 6? 6. So 6 total. So we said, look, hard surface carriers, a lot of people can do that. UV light, LEDs, not as fast as us, but people can do it. Our value proposition is on porous materials all the way through. We ran it again on porous materials, again, full kill. We have multiple paid pilot study partners. We are starting the OOP market because not only for better patient outcomes, they have huge pain points. It also allows us to gather a lot of medical data in an unregulated market. These are run just like doctor's offices, and they absolutely love it the way. We just closed another deal today with a OMP chain, 40 locations in 18 states. And here's some of our feedback. Blue Book has been a game changer in our office and helps us provide the best care for our patients. We absolutely love our Blue Book. We're starting the OP market, but I want to stress this is not our overall market potential. We are only refining our product before we roll out to the broader healthcare markets. We've already started talking to over 10 healthcare systems that handle their infection environmental control, and to hit that market, we are talking with strategics, big players that we can leverage their sales network to sell into the healthcare system, and these are also potential acquirers for us for our exit. Our first year, it costs us $1,500 to make these. We sell them for $4,000. That's not including the recurring revenue stream. That's about $1,000 per unit. And next year we'll sell $800. We're currently raising $600,000. $385 is already in. That'll let us finish our EPA testing to sell as a medical device. A broad spectrum disinfection device, not a medical device. Scale up our manufacturing to get an automated pilot production model. Sales and marketing for the OP market. 3 co-founders have been working together for many years. We ran R&D at another startup, built several patents. And there's a vacuum in this market right now, and there's a dire need to fill it right now. So thank you very much. I should see that.
I'm a former biomedical engineer, so first off, I've seen that with Ken. And I've seen this viability, clinics, specialty clinics, large hospitals, all kinds of levels to it. Just 2 real quick questions are, you're raising about $600K, right?
Yes.
And for a medical device product, especially for hardware, in terms of data traction, that seems to be on the lower end from it. Can you explain why? And the second quick question is just, you mentioned a lot in terms of your go-to-market. What are you more excited about? Is it from a clinic perspective or the larger hospital level? Or is it just more in terms of timing?
So again, the first question was, why are we only raising $600K for a hardware medtech device? One, we are raising as little as possible so we don't dilute ourselves for our next round, which will be about $3 to $5 million. That's what we're going to be using to get into the broader healthcare markets. We are raising a lot less than a typical hardware medical device. If we were FDA, it would be a class 2. That would be anywhere from $2 to $5 million, anywhere from a year and a half or 510K to maybe even 6 years. We are not FDA. We're going under EPA as a pesticide device. Right now, pesticide devices do not require any registration, and the environmental infection control arena in the healthcare system is actually under the EPA's purview. So it costs a lot less. We have our regulatory consultants, we have our biology microbiologists, and we have an EPA GLP lab that's ready to do the tests when we're done. So we're refining the test and get the time down, get it even more effective. And it's costing a lot less because our team knows how to run hardware. We solve problems. We've been in R&D. We know how to stretch a dollar. We have a lot of networks, a lot of people that help us. Ask a lot of favors, a lot of swaps for You do this for me, we'll take you out for one beer only, during happy hour. And that's what. And what was the second question?
The second question is just in terms of the go-to-market, where looking at product clinics versus the hospitals, just in terms of timing, or is there one you typically prefer?
Our goal is to be able to help as many people as possible. We do not mention this because investors don't like this. We do have a charitable arm down the road that we want to be able to donate units to third world countries like Doctors Without Borders, places without healthcare that can sterilize items. Our goal is just to be able to help as many people. But unfortunately, in order to do that, we have to be profitable. With the new technology, you have to look at which market has the biggest pain points and the fastest adoption. We looked at 50 markets before this. We were not always B2B, we're not always healthcare, but it just landed that healthcare we have the biggest impact, the biggest pain points. Hospitals, we believe, is where we really need to be at, but we're still solving the problem of, are we charging the hospitals, are we charging the insurance companies, are we charging maybe the liability insurance companies? Who has the biggest pain point and cost other than the patients who's paying with their lives? So we're still revising, kind of working that out. We're talking to big players in this healthcare industry. We have advisors that have done this before, and we're working to get to a clinical trial with a couple of different healthcare systems. I can't say which one again, but that's kind of the traction we're going. And we're starting out in the OOP market to get as much data as possible, so when we go to the healthcare systems, we have a lot to back up.
So just on a quick feedback note, because you mentioned that there was a charitable arm coming from it, and you're saying that investors are hopeful. I actually think we should mention that as part of the pipeline for that level, because it also goes back to the original Brett and so like what you're doing with Blue, also the passion you guys are building across. It's like we're working to build this to make it as viable and as approachable and as attainable for all kinds of markets. Because it's important, and yes, it's not going to be a great revenue generator, but it brings back to the great focus of the actual brand itself, and also like what you're doing. Yeah, of course. Investor hardware, yes, please do that.
So how is your race going?
Our raise is going really well. So we've raised $490 to date. This round we have 385 in, so we had 105 in the previous round. We're going to be a little bit oversubscribed, most likely. So we got about 215 left. We'll probably go up to about 300. Again, the terms we're offering are very investor friendly because we want a fast close. They're very investor friendly.
No, it's it. Well, why are you raising on a safe note? That's what I would want to know.
Because we wanted to cut out as much legal fees as possible. We didn't want to review the lawyers. A standard convertible note, it could be up to 10 grand for just lawyer fees. A safe note is a fast close, is simple, is kind of standard. We have done a different type of note before with another VC, but the terms are mostly the same.
Well, the problems potentially, just as a bit of feedback that you're going to find with your statement aren't now. They're going to be further down the
Further
road.
around with the dilution and the different steps and different
Right.
layers of safes. Completely understood. We've done the cap table. We've measured it all out. That's why we're only raising as much as we're doing. And the next round is going to be a qualified financial round. The amount of signals we have right now, we have done so many scenarios of how much we're diluting ourselves. So that's why we're cutting it off at 600K.
It's not just dilution, it's that you're running a risk that's really hard to realize between yourself and your investors down the road, I think.
Are you talking about future investors or previous investors? Investors on the
the
same
ones, yeah, the ones that
Well,
are.
we have said this before. Like whatever investor that we bring in, we treat them like family, and we will work with them. We're not going to just forget who we public start. Again, if you want to invest and you don't want to do a safe note, we can talk about it.
I'm not an investor. But I can tell you that none of the angels,
I would want to talk to you
none of
about
our angels would invest in the city.
what you guys would invest with.
They prefer equity, preferred equity.
Yeah.
They might do convertible note,
But in this
never
round
do
for
safe.
600K, I don't think that's going to be a qualified round.
Right.
So where are you making this product?
So we're making it right now in our own lab in Florida. We're actually moving next week to a larger facility to be able to keep up with demand. We just came from the largest orthotic and prosthetic conference of the year in Vancouver last week. got a tremendous feedback. We ran a product showcase with a testimonial, got a lot of sales just from that conference. But we also have our contract manufacturer, Mac Molding. They're in Vermont, they're in North Carolina, South Carolina, and another place I forgot. But we're going to be making it in the South Carolina facility. They have brought someone down, their specialist, done the entire work instruction. So as we speak, they are working to make an fully automated process, drop ship, warehouse, consignment with parts, fully vertically integrated.
And I really like the idea and the product and everything. I think it's very viable, but in terms of scaling, are you going to move the production overseas? Do you have any plans of that?
Not for the first year or 2 years, because right now we're in pilot mode. The quality of the device and the feedback from our customers are critical. The quality of work, and we have to make tweaks on the fly, so we have to get to it right now. We want to be able to control that process. We can think about going overseas down the road again, but we do want to protect our IP. We are going to be using contract manufacturing. We're not going to be spending a lot of money on setting up our own manufacturing, because when we do exit and sell this, whoever buys it will have their own manufacturing set up. They want to be able to transfer it over there.
Gotcha. And I had one question. I guess just one last question in terms of maintenance. So with hardware, maintenance is always an issue. So who is doing the maintenance? How often do you have to do maintenance?
So we have our the mean time to failure for the weakest part of our device will last about 5 years, 2.5, probably 5 years under normal use. We've tested it, we've run it further than that. We are putting predictive capabilities like sensors in it to predict when it would need maintenance. We offer a 1-year standard manufacturing warranty. We offer a 3-year extended warranty. If there's anything wrong with it, we send you the first unit while we fix your other unit. And our manufacturing, that's the goal, is for them to just take care of it. And mostly with extended warranties, a lot of it is just good product. I shouldn't say that. So get the extended warranty.
One last question. So you have a lot of great pilots going through. What's the typical contract that you're having pilots in terms of number of units, in terms of contract there? And then what would you call a successful contract, like successful permanent contract with an organization, again, in terms of number of units, lead time, terms, everything?
So within the orthotic and prosthetic industry, the clinics can be anywhere from one clinician that owns it, that sees 10 patients a day, up to a facility that has 20 to 30 clinicians that see 10 patients a day. So the variation between how many numbers of units we sell to them will vary. Our goal is to sell an average 2 per location. And with that, on the device side, the market saturation is about $28 million just for this market. Again, it's not an enormous market, and we already knew that. A successful pilot study is someone that uses it all the time. Someone that can be a champion for us. Someone that gives referrals. And everyone that we have so far, I just showed you one testimonial. In our website, there's other testimonials, there's video testimonials, not just from the clinicians, but also from the patients. The patients are going above themselves to tell the clinicians how much they love it. They are going back in between visits to clean their pipes. And we're in this business to really help people, and having that feedback from actually parents of kids who say, you guys made our experience by this medical visit a lot more enjoyable. That really means a lot to us.
All right, thank you very much. Great job. All right, thank you again for hosting this. I really appreciate it. So everybody, hang out for a minute. There's still a few beers up the back. You can race up to grab the last ones, and we'll announce the winner in just a couple minutes. Thanks. So again, I just want to thank our partners, Galvanize, for hosting the event, and also Real BC TV. Again, you can check out the replay of tonight's event on the website, Startup Channel. And the winner of tonight is Down to Dash.
So, just real quick feedback, all 5 startups did fantastic work with it. It was a really difficult decision to cross it, and actually give a quick shout out to like the 2 companies that were excited between Down to Dash and Blue Wave, mostly because of the fact that, it's weird when you get weird with it. And now I'm doing with feedback, so you can see. So, just a quick piece of feedback with Blue Wave. I think the biggest thing that we were working for it, and also as we're going to get to the prizes, it's in terms of like knowing what's available and at stake, that who's going to get it more. Just one big piece of feedback for you is, I understand that you're raising the $3 to $5 million later down the line. Mention it in the deck because you have everything that's very well buttoned up, and just like what's happening next from it matters to it. To the gesture team, there's a lot ahead of there. Really excited to see what's happening. Just button up that pitch a little bit better. There's so much ahead of there in the Blue Ocean, especially because there's still so many questions to answer from it. From Sports List, dude, what you're doing is really awesome. You know your market, you know your space from it. I'm super excited to see what's happening because you're still very young and early from it, but like you're on the right track from there. Graham, super duper early, totally get it. And obviously the product hunt launched from it on 300 likes. 40 teachers from this. That's the most exciting thing for me in terms of how that's going to come from it. Also, just as a side note, I love the fact on how you have been mentioning on just loading up on customers to pull to the teachers themselves, so like kind of the reverse psychology. And Down to Dash, knowing what you're going to have at stake in terms of this, in terms of the prizes, it's definitely going to help you in terms of next levels to it. And it's just a nice, well buttoned up story. Like the way that she was actually pitching is a great case study of like how to make sure you're taking every single piece of the past, the present, and the future and telling your story for the brand.
Thank you for that feedback to me.
Yay.
So, as the winner, you're going to get 750 credits to our partner Seed Lawyers, which is on-demand legal services. You're also going to get admissions to HubSpot for Startups, which, depending on the package level you want to use, offers you 90% discounts off of their suite of products. And you're also going to get 6 months of free premium services to MailJet. Thank you to those partners. For the rest of our participants, you're going to get 3 months of premium services to MailJet, and you're also going to get 150 credits to Seed Lawyers as well to use for on-demand legal services. All right. So, thank you guys so much for coming out. I hope you guys really enjoyed the show, learned a few things about these amazing startups that we've seen so far. Hang out, socialize, talk about what you've seen, and I'll be with you in a moment.